Journey to Freedom, a true story of the boat people by Landalat. After the fall of Saigon, during a period of social, economic, and political turmoil, a young couple with 4 children took extreme risk to ensure a better future for their children. Living in Vietnam post-1975 was no longer a viable option. The exodus began under the darkness of night. In Saigon, early March 1981, Can Hui, a young mother, risked everything when she took her 4 young children and clambered onto a wooden boat to begin her quest for freedom. She left everything behind for an uncertain future. Venturing the high sea, 138 lives rode the deadly wave of the South China Sea in search for freedom on an unseaworthy wooden boat. Their hopes and dreams for a better future soon faced a grim reality of sea exodus. Chúng tôi thà chết trên biển cả còn hơn sống dưới chế độ cộng sản. We would rather die on the open sea than to live under the communist. With a chaotic beginning in Saigon, followed by a turbulent ride out to sea, only to follow with the engine failure. The boat adrift for the next 7 days. During this very desperate moment, 7 days without food and water, some prayed for miracles, while others discussed cannibalism for the ultimate survival. Meanwhile, the USS Ranger, CV-61, commanded by U.S. Navy Captain Dan A. Peterson.
It was in the South China Sea. I think we were probably 10, 12 hours north of Singapore going to the Philippines, and a very hot day, absolutely no wind. The sea was flat, and we were operating airplanes after coming through the Malaccan Straits at Singapore, and 2 of my airplanes reported into the control center that they had spotted a boat full of people adrift.
The captain and his crew rescued 138 lives from the South China Seas that day. The Rangers provided medical treatment, food, and clothing before reaching Subic Bay, Philippines 5 days later. On that faithful day, the young mother and her children were rescued. Along with 133 other refugees, the group were transferred to Manila Transition Center, where they were processed and interviewed. With their new granted status as refugees, they were transferred to Palawan. The group was nicknamed 138 Subic Bay. Along with thousands of other refugees already at the camp, the newly arrival endured the same hardship of the living condition, lack of food, lack of running water, daily common. With a survival instinct, the Vietnamese people continued to excel while they lived under this hardship condition. They were learning and prepared themselves for the West. Miss Marianne Knox, a British volunteer, who gave them a new insight of what could become. After 6 arduous months living at the refugee camp, the family finally arrived to the United States in Seattle, Washington. They eventually settled in Orange County, California, where they lived the American dream.
The story of each of the individual children is just remarkable, what they've done within the American system since then. Every one of them are college graduates now, and Lan's going to be an officer in the Navy, in the Army, excuse me.
Anthony, a boy who's barely survived the ordeal. A former U.S. Army captain who served with distinction in Kuwait during the initial phase of Operation Enduring Freedom after September 11, 2001. Still in the Army, now he served as a civil servant who lives comfortably with his family in Kansas. Christine, who severely dehydrated during the ordeal, now very successful certified public accountant who recently delivered a healthy, beautiful baby girl. Together with her husband, Greg, a firefighter in Orange County, they raised two beautiful children in their own home in Southern California. Michelle, a true survivor, a very successful businesswoman who survived the attack on September 11 while working on the 22nd floor of the World Trade Center in New York City. While pregnant with her son, she managed to escape the building unharmed. Now she is living and working peacefully with her family, John and Nicholas, near Geneva, Switzerland. Lan, who barely survived the snake bite at the refugee camp, now a soldier, who is currently serving his adopted nation in the Republic of Korea after 2 consecutive overseas tours in Europe and in Afghanistan. Throughout his military career, he has served in many capacities, from a clerk to a commander. Currently, he is joined by his family, Minnie, Dan, Daisy, and Hannah, at his present location in Korea. Kamkwi, the young mother who risked everything, had paid off. Recently, she is seen in Switzerland after helping one of her daughters, celebrating the birth of a newborn baby in Southern California. She often travels throughout the world to visit her grandchildren and to enjoy the freedom of a free world. So what happened to the young father in the picture?
The mother came out of the country with the children, and the father, it took him another, 3 years to get his own personal freedom out of there, and he stayed to ensure that the family got out.
Thailand finally united with his wife and children 4 years later in Southern California. He too joined the ranks of the boat people when he fled Vietnam late November 1984. An avid artist, a published author, and a grandfather who frequently traveled throughout Europe and America to visit his grandchildren. Now he is retired and enjoys making oil painting at his home in Southern California.
I think many of the crew of Ranger, which was about 5,600 sailors, these are the kinds of things that the Navy's mission enjoys doing. You save people on the high seas, and these people needed help, and you always wonder what happens to them. And 15 years later, finally, at least as a representative of that crew of Ranger, I found out and made contact with land. We've had many conversations, and this morning we finally met. A remarkable story and remarkable people.
The United States led the way. More than 823,000 Vietnamese boat people made home in the United States, followed by Australia, Canada, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom.